everyone, it's Kelly Moe. Today I wanted to talk to you in this care package about safety. Take a moment and think about the living quarters that your loved one lives in. Think about how they enter and exit the home. Think about how they navigate throughout their living quarters on a daily basis to get into the bathroom, to go into the kitchen to make their breakfast, where they go and lounge to watch the television, and how they get to their bedroom. Are there stairs involved? Are there narrow doorways? Is there a small bathroom? Is it hard to get in and out of the shower stall? Do they only have a tub? Think about what that life would be like if your loved one has Alzheimer's or has ALS or Parkinson's or some kind of disease where they're not as mobile as they used to be. Think about what you're going to do in order to make their lives easier with this new phase in their life. I mean, as you can see, I'm sitting here in my condo, and these stairs right here, they're fine for me, but I remember when I brought my mother over here to see the space where I moved into when she was still mobile, she couldn't access the space very easily, and I felt horrible. I mean, I moved back here to my hometown about 5 years ago, and my mother's been living with severe dementia for a little over a decade. And at the time when I moved back, she was living in an assisted living facility, and she was still mobile, and I felt horrible when I ended up bringing her over here. When I decided to move into this space, it made sense for me, but it obviously didn't make sense for her. It made me really stop and think about how people have to make major adjustments for their loved ones. When I ended up having to make the decision with my family to move my mom into her first assisted living facility, I mean, it was a hard decision, and it made me think if we had kept her at home, what we would have had to do to remodel her house to make her life easier. And I know it's a huge industry right now for builders and everything to come in and do remodeling on spaces, because if you think about how many townhome communities there are and how many steps people have to take just to get into their living quarters, and once they're inside, they still have to take an extra additional steps to get into their living room. And you have a 3-story townhome, it's not safe for seniors to live in those environments. Think about the space that they're in right now, where you have area rugs and something you can trip on. My mother was a clutter bunny, and she had lots and lots of things, and pathways to get to and from different areas of the house needed to be decluttered so she had easier access. In the early stages, me realizing that something was not going well with her, I noticed how there were different things in the house that had obviously been burned. She used to have eyelet covers for her stovetop. I noticed on one of my trips home that they were singed, so she must have left the stove on, as well as I noticed in one of her chairs that's covered in fabric, there was a big singed mark on one of the chairs. She must have knocked over a lamp, and the light bulb obviously had rusted on the side of the chair and was starting to burn a hole into the chair. And I was like, wow, Mommy's about to burn the house down. And it's scary. It's extremely scary. And another thing that's extremely scary is driving. My mom loved to drive. I used to get picked up at the same Amtrak space when I used to, travel home to visit her. She would always pick me up at the same place at the Amtrak station. And this one time I was coming home for a friend's baby shower. Mommy was a little late picking me up, but not only was she a little late, she ended up being 2 hours late because she got lost and disoriented around the Beltway. And her house is 20 minutes away from the Amtrak. And I was freaking out because, I was trying to call her on her cell phone, which was a new thing for her back then, to even have a cell phone, let alone, we all know it's not safe to be calling people on their cell phone and them using it while they're driving. But just imagine someone who is lost and confused as to where they are as they're driving 60 miles per hour on a freeway, a beltway, to have to stop and also answer a phone You're confused to where you are. You're in a moving vehicle where you can hurt yourself or hurt someone else. She was panicked. She was crying. It was horrible. So by the time she found me, we were both in a state of shock. And I knew then and there at that time, I was like, oh, we definitely need to take mommy to the doctor to get evaluated and see what's going on with her. And then that's how we found out that she was living with dementia. So I really just want people to really stop and think about and not be in denial. This is what it is. And your loved one is scared and they know that something is not right, but they don't necessarily want to share that with you, and they try to hide things. You just have to be diligent and stay on them and just be open-minded and make sure that you're doing things to make sure that they're safe. I mean, if you think about it, if you had a baby in the home, you would baby-proof that home. You have to elder-proof people's lives as well. And this is the case thousands and thousands of us are dealing with when it comes to our loved ones. So I'm hoping that this video is just a reminder or a conversation starter that you can have with your loved one in regards to what you need to do to help protect them and keep them safe moving forward on this journey. Oh, and another thing I had to do was, this was actually after my mom had moved into one of the assisted living facilities. Because of her depth perception and her being very unfamiliar with, her space, it was hard for her to, or she was scared to actually bend down to get on the toilet. And I ended up having to go to a medical supply shop and buy her a seat riser for her toilet. You just screw it on to the back of the toilet, and it has also arm rails or arm guards on the side of it, so it would help her with her toileting. So, all these little things that we take for granted, we have to be mindful of how to make it easier for our loved one that's not doing so well anymore. I hope everyone is doing well, and I look forward to coming back and sharing some more insights and tips with you in another package.